if you make a representation to the meeting, you will be deemed by the council to have consented to being recorded. By entering this meeting as a speaker, you are also consenting to being recorded by the council and to possibility use of the sounds recordings for webcasting or training purposes. The council, members of the public and the press may record films, photograph and broadcast this meeting when the public and the press are not lawfully excluded. That's that done with. Now I'd like to introduce the officers who are doing the meeting today. So first of all, David, would you like to introduce yourself?
David Price, licensing officer.
Catherine?
Catherine Green, licensing officer.
Emma?
Emma's not here, Chair.
All right. Nigel?
Yeah, Nigel DeLue, legal advisor to the committee.
And Karen?
Good morning, Karen Sayer, governance officer.
All right. I now move to the agenda. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies from Councillor Beer.
Is that all?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Councillor Nunn appears not to be here.
Yeah, but he hasn't. Oh,
I am here, Chair.
he is here, but he's not on the screen. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest?
Apologies,
Yep.
Chair. Would you like me to carry out the roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Apologies, roll call for members present.
Yeah.
Members, if you could reply with good morning or present. Councillor Ayres? Councillor Ayres?
Turn your mic on, Sue.
I know, and I keep pressing, and it's going off. It keeps going off and on. Yes, I'm here. Oh, I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Carpendale?
Yes, present. Good morning.
Councillor Creswell? I don't believe he's here. Councillor Dawson?
Present.
Councillor Gould?
Yes, good morning.
Councillor Grandin?
Present.
Councillor Maybury?
Present. Good morning.
Councillor Newman?
Yeah, present.
And Councillor Nunn.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there any declarations of interest? Are there any declarations of interest? Anybody? Use your hand function if you have. No? Okay. Right. I'd like to confirm the minutes held of the meeting held on the 14th of August 2020. Are there any points regarding the accuracy of the meeting? Anybody? No? Can I have a proposer, please? Margaret, is that a proposer? Yeah, Margaret Maybury, thank you. Have a seconder, please. Have we got a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
That's Sian. Yeah, okay. Right, the Governance Officer will now take a roll call. Karen?
Thank you, Chair. Members, please can you reply with for, against or abstain? Councillor Ayres?
For.
Councillor Carpendale?
Abstain.
Councillor Dawson?
For.
Councillor Gould?
For.
Councillor Grandin?
I wasn't part of the committee at that time, so I think I have to abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Maybury? We can't hear you, Councillor Maybury.
Her mic's off. Margaret, your microphone's off.
Councillor Maybury? Oh.
Sorry, I have been trying desperately to take it off on mute, so I apologise for that. It just would not work. So something, it's sticking.
Leave it on,
yes,
Margaret.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Newman?
Yeah, for.
Councillor Nunn?
For.
Thank you, Chair. That's carried.
Okay, the minutes have been confirmed and will be signed at the appropriate time. Right. Have we got any notifications of any petitions, Karen?
None received, Chair.
Okay, we'll now move to paper BLR/20/2, the Licensing Act of 2003 Statement of Licensing Policy for the 5-year revision. Catherine Green will go on to do this. Catherine?
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to report back to the Licensing and Regulatory Committee the outcome of a full targeted and public consultation which ran between the 20th of August 2020 and the 16th of September 2020 in respect of the above statutory policy revision relating to the Licensing Act 2003 functions. Since November 2005, local licensing authorities have been responsible for functions under the Licensing Act 2003. Section 5 of the Licensing Act 2003 requires that each licensing authority shall determine and publish a local statement of licensing policy relating to the discharge of its licensing functions under the Act. The licensing team revisited the statement, which has been in effect since January 2016. This report seeks the approval by the Licensing and Regulatory Committee of the revised policy statement attached as Appendix A for recommendation on to full council so that it may be adopted for publication and ready to take effect from the 7th of January 2021. So the recommendation is that the post-consultation draft in respect of the Licensing Act 2003 functions as attached as at Appendix A be approved, and that the recommendation to full council is that the statement of licensing policy document be adopted. The reason for this decision is it is a statutory requirement to review and re-adopt the council's licensing policy. This is a statutory function. The licensing team has to date undertaken the necessary preparatory and consultation work within existing resources and fee structure and by working collaboratively wherever viable. In general terms, the legislation aims to secure full cost recovery of administering Licensing Act 2003 functions through fees payable for licence applications and ongoing maintenance. The fee banding system and fee levels are currently set by central government via regulation. The previous government had decided in early 2015 to not activate the provisions of the Police Reform and Social Responsibility Act 2011, Section 121, of which would devolve fee setting to local licensing authorities. This will be the 5th edition of the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy under the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing team has the necessary experience, stakeholder contacts and networking in place to ensure that a wide and balanced consultation has taken place. The consultation took place over a period of 4 weeks through various channels and media. Adoption of the Licensing Act 2003 Statement of Licensing Policy is a function reserved for full council. Following the consultation exercise, Babergh District Council received one response. From the response received, the necessary changes referenced have been made to the draft Statement of Licensing Policy. And that concludes my report, Chair.
Thank you, Catherine. Right, is there any points of clarification from members?
Actually, there was just one. Did you just say there was only one response to this?
Yes, there was.
But we haven't. Yeah, sorry. What I was going to say is we haven't based. I just wonder whether it should have been a bit more wide. Have we approached people, or were we actively seeking perhaps feedback? It doesn't seem a lot of people to base our policy going forward on one feedback, does it really?
Catherine, can you tell us how many people it is sent out to? It's sent out to all the parish councils, isn't it?
Yeah, so Appendix D was the list of consultees that we sent it out to. We sent it out to 150 different people. It was sent to the libraries, so it gave people the opportunity to access the policy review from libraries. It was sent out to all parish councils. Anybody who has an interest in the Licensing Act policy as well, it was sent out to. So that was existing premises licence holders, club licence holders. Green King, for example, was also sent it along with Punch Taverns, Weatherspoons, etc. The local schools were also informed of the policy. So we did quite an extensive
Can I just, ask Catherine, is what's slightly bothering me with this is that, we get all these documents and people tend to read them and delete them. And I'm just wondering whether we should have been a bit more proactive, bearing in mind we sent it out to 150 people and only had one response. I just wonder whether going forward, well, it's going to be 5 years, isn't it? But it just seems to me not really... we don't seem to have been terribly proactive, have we?
Well, it's been.
Do you think just emailing it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been sent out to plenty of people. To be honest with you, we've covered most, and if we've had one person make a point which we've rectified, I think we've done it right. To be honest with you,
if we're emailing out, what my worry is that a lot of people just get these emails, just delete them, don't actually. I mean, had we had response back coming back saying, oh, we don't need to make comments because it is okay, that's one thing. But to have had no responses from 150 doesn't seem really.
Well, it means they've read it and they're happy with it. But as you know, a lot of people don't read it. They just.
That's what I was going to say. It says to me, people aren't reading it at all, are they? Really?
But that's not our fault, though. We send it out to everybody.
No, don't. I mean, it's just something to flag up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. That's clarification. Right. We'll move to debate. Is there any debate on this?
Sorry, Chair. We've got three other councillors with their hands up.
I'm sorry.
Councillor Carpendale and Councillor Maybury and Councillor Grandon.
Okay. I'll do Councillor Grandon first.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say that the main body of the Licence Act has been in existence for some years, so I think people know how it works, and so they would only object if there's something or offer a change if there's something that doesn't work for them. So I think if we haven't had responses, especially as it's been sent to bodies and organisations to whom it would have a great effect, if it hadn't worked for them, they would then make comments. So I think we can comfortably assume that if we haven't heard from them, they're comfortable with it as they see it, as it was sent to them.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Margaret Maybury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions, if I may. The first one is it states enforcement will take place if misdemeanours happen, and I hope that's the right description for this. Could someone explain to me which officers that will be? Because we have an awful lot of building regulation enforcement going on. Do we have a separate team for that? That's my first question. If that could be answered first, please.
Catherine, would you like to do that?
Yeah, that's fine. Enforcement is dealt with by our environmental health team. They act as our enforcement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A comment that I would like to make following Councillor Dawson's was I was actually there in 2015 when the previous review took place. We did actually have more replies. I have looked at the list and it's a very similar list to what we had in 2015. The one parish councillor that did reply, I think, should be congratulated for actually replying. The other question for officers is, do you think, in your opinion, that the lack of reply would be because of the COVID situation?
Okay, Catherine, would you like to come back to that one?
I don't really know, to be honest, why there was a lack of response in regards to the policy. We followed the normal process for advertising and distribution to all the relevant parties. COVID could have had an effect potentially on response, but other than that, I can't definitively say, I'm afraid.
Okay,
if I could come back, Mr. Chairman, my second question is because I'm sorry, if it was in the newspaper, I didn't see it. Did we actually advertise it in the local newspapers, please?
Yes, it was advertised in the local newspaper. It was also advertised on our customer access point centres and at our Endeavour House address.
Thank you.
And on our website.
I do have 2 other questions. I did write and tell David Price that I had several questions yesterday. Where it mentions right to work, and obviously whoever wishes to be employed within these industries has to give proof of right to work. Is there a statutory requirement? And I ask this very sensitively because of some of the issues that we cover, such as security. Is there a proof that those who have a right to work have enough of the English understanding? I'm asking this sensitively because I am concerned that perhaps in the security industry, if there isn't enough understanding, there may be a slight different cultural exchange, or there might be the fact that someone says something and it is misinterpreted. If an officer could answer that, please.
Catherine, please.
Yeah, that's fine, Chair. In regards to the proof of the right to work under the Licensing Act, we just require from them a form of documentation to prove that they have that right to work. So usually that's a UK passport or a visa stating that they're permitted to work within the UK.
Right. Okay. Could I just have my concerns on this minuted, but sensitively, please?
Yep,
Because,
certainly.
We do hope to attract a diverse population here in Babergh, and I'm just concerned that there may not be enough understanding for all. So if that could be minuted, please. And I'm getting to the end of the list, you'll be pleased to understand. The last is, could someone explain to me, and I've got 2.2 down, and I'm sorry I didn't check which appendix, where it's stating something about gambling, and whether we actually license the gambling lounges such as we are beginning to experience within Babergh. Thank you.
Catherine, sorry.
That's no problem, Chair. Gambling's dealt with under a different legislation. It's dealt with under the Gambling Act 2005. So any licences would be issued under that legislation rather than the Licensing Act.
Thank you very much. That's what I thought, but just to have it confirmed. Thank you.
All right. I think Sue Carpentel's been waiting. Sue?
That's all right. Thank you. 2 small points. The Appendix C on page 45, it was a query from someone in Holton St Mary. I just wondered, firstly, if she'd had an answer, an individual answer. And my other question was, amongst these consultees, were hairdressers included?
Catherine?
Yeah. So yes, the individual did get an individual response, and I'm going to go back further to clarify on the club licence with the individual. And in regards to hairdressers, the one that is already licensed within the Sudbury area was an existing licence holder, so was notified of it, but not every hairdresser. And we were hoping to catch those with the normal advertising procedure if there was any that required it.
Okay, perhaps when we all see our hairdressers next, we'll mention it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Jan Gold.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to labour this point because I'm aware that we've probably already finished on it, but we cannot extrapolate anything from the fact that we only got one response to the consultation because we don't know. We can only assume and guess. The consultation went to where it needs to go, didn't it? It went widely. Might it be useful to save revisiting this conversation at future meetings to just put in a clause, if it's possible, Catherine or David, that says we will assume a non-response means that you're happy with it, and then we can begin to extrapolate some data which is meaningful. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. I'm quite happy with that. What do you think, Catherine?
Yeah, that sounds absolutely fine, Chair. We're happy to do that.
Okay. Margaret, if you've come up again, have you got another question? No, just left your mic on.
No, I'm sorry. I keep trying to move things. I think I've got a sticky keyboard. I'm sorry about that this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I think Sian's waiting. Sian?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just moving on slightly, make just if a clarification can be made about on page 6, where if the purpose of the statement, the licensing policy, why we've decided to not to inform residents of businesses about how the authority will make the decision. I'm just sort of slightly in contrast to the fact we're sending this out to why that was deleted out. If we, I would have thought we would be sort of doing the opposite of this. Is that a national thing that's been removed from the government guideline papers?
Yeah, the reason for its removal is it was duplicated in that section. So we removed one part of it, but it's still in the actual policy.
Well, later on?
In the same section, it was just it was repeated. So we took it out. It hadn't been noted in the original.
It's the second bullet point.
Is that meant to be provide a basis for? Is that meant to mean this? Because it's not quite the same, is it? That's what I'm wondering.
Let me have a look.
There's a difference between, it's 2.1.
Okay. We can include it back in if
well, I just think it would be appropriate, don't you? I'm not quite sure why it's been removed, and maybe it's because national guidelines have said that. But I mean, you said it's been included, and it doesn't seem to be to me that it has been.
Okay, we as officers felt the first point covered what we were basically telling the residents and businesses, but we're happy to put that back in if necessary.
I think it should be, yes, I think it should be included. And the other one is page 20, is it? Hang on, I'll come back to you. Let me find it again. I had another one in here and I've written the wrong number down.
Okay.
All right, Sue Carpenter wants to speak.
Yes, just on Councillor Dawson's point there. Does the second bullet point in 2.1 of the policy not cover her concerns?
No.
It seems to be very similar.
Well, we're going back to
talking about the parameters within which does it really need the next bullet point?
Well, it says residents and businesses, and the other thing is, well, applicants. But I mean, why would you remove it unless it's a governmental guideline?
Well, what do you think, Sue? Do you think we need to put it back in?
It's saying applicants, and it's excluding residential, effectively, isn't it?
Well, it says applicants, responsible authorities, residents and businesses.
Yeah, but within the parameters of the licensing authority.
Perhaps just a little clarification in the wording. And Catherine, how they, perhaps at a meeting just clarify that, do you think?
We can...
any advice perhaps from Nigel as to whether we need to clarify it or not?
As far as I can see, the only difference is that the deleted bullet point didn't use the words of the parameters. Other than that, I think it does cover it, because it says informs applicants, responsible authorities, residents and businesses of the parameters within which the licensing authority will make the decisions. If you think that use of the word of the words of the parameters is significant, then maybe just tweak that slightly. But it clearly does cover residents and businesses in that bullet point, and it is referring to with the licensing decisions and the way that the local authority will make them.
Well, if you're
Okay,
happy,
thank you.
if you think, as long as I just wanted clarity, if you're happy, I mean, I'm fine with it. If you want to leave it, I
Right.
found.
Yep. Okay.
And the other one, Mark, was on page 21, point H, which has been deleted, and I'm just wondering, is that it says control measures? The examples of control measures are given purely to assist applicants, and it specifically includes liaison with transport, taxi and private hire. Is that because they're the applicants making it, so therefore they don't need to be included, or why is it again being removed?
Okay. Catherine or Nigel?
Yes, Chair. The liaison with public transport had been removed from the public nuisance section as it was deemed more appropriate in relation to public safety. This was under the Home Office guidance, section 182, Home Office guidance.
Okay, thank you. Sian, any more?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, no more. Right, we move to debate, but I think we've done a bit of debate. Is there any more? Anyone got anything else to say? If not, we'll move to a proposer and a seconder, please. Do I have a proposer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I
Margaret
propose it.
Yeah, and Catherine Grandin as the seconder. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask what date this will take effect from? Just confirm it, please.
I think it's April. Catherine, can you tell me what date that is? April next year, is it?
No, Chair. This will take effect from the 7th of January 2021.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm still happy.
Okay.
I'm still proposing.
Jolly good. Right. Is there any more debate after we've got a proposer and seconder, or should we move to the vote? Everyone happy? Right. Can the Cabinet's officer read out the proposal, please, and take the vote? Karen?
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, just to interrupt you, I shall have to plug my machine in. My battery's running. I'm still here, though.
Okay, Margaret, thank you.
Apart. Thank you.
So we have the proposal that the post-consultation draft statement of licensing policy in respect of Licensing Act 2003 functions, as attached at Appendix A to the report, be approved, and the recommendation to Council that the statement of licensing policy document be adopted. Members, please can you reply with for, against or abstain? Councillor Ayres?
For.
Councillor Carpendale?
For.
Councillor Dawson?
For.
Councillor Gould?
For.
Councillor Grandin?
For.
Councillor Maybury?
For.
Councillor Newman?
For.
Councillor Nunn?
For.
Thank you, Chair. That's carried.
Okay, lovely. Thank you all very much. Right, we now move on to the Hackney Carriage Table of Fares review, and David Price will present this, the licensing officer. David.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I don't propose to go into lengthy detail here. Members will be aware that this report came in February 2020 this year, and then on to Cabinet. Following the Cabinet meeting and feedback, this has come back to the Licensing Committee again for consideration before going on to another public consultation exercise. Following input from Cabinet, the licensing team, along with the Chair and Vice Chair, undertook to have a public consultation exercise with the trade in August 2020, and now officers have created following those discussions, officers have created two further table of fares, both with the 50 and 100% detail within. In Appendix A, which will be the start, which is for vehicles licensed to carry no more than 4 passengers. Tariff 1 starts out at £3.20, which is a 20% increase on the current table of fares. Tariff 2 will be 50% of Tariff 1, and Tariff 3 is 100% of Tariff 1. Appendix B, Tariff 1 relates to Tariff 2, and then again takes on the 50 and 100% from there for the bigger passenger vehicles of 5 to 8 seats. There are 2 recommendations for members today, and I'll take any questions from there. Yeah.
Okay, so have we got any questions for David? Margaret, maybe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If David could just confirm that the taxi drivers are quite content with these proposals now. Unfortunately, there was a meeting that I was supposed to be at, but I never got the invitation. So with the taxi drivers, so I don't know what they were saying at the time. And my second, and it's a comment really, is that we have seen this before. In my opinion, it's much better laid out and much easier for us all to understand. But there is the first question. Thank you.
David.
Thank you, Chair. The Assistant Manager for Food Safety and Licensing has done a sample of drivers to ask for their opinion. Those that she looked at were in favour of these proposals. This is obviously the first stage, so this from here will go out to public consultation.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, may I just come back with that? Out of your portion that were contacted, were any of them unhappy with it, please?
David?
No, there were none that were unhappy with this proposal.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, we've done a lot of work. The meeting we had with the taxi drivers was very, very good. And it's a lesson learned that we should have done that earlier stages. But we've had a lot of input from the taxi drivers. They are going to be better off. I think it's going to be a good thing for everybody. Catherine Grandon's got a question. Catherine?
Yes, thank you, Chair. On one of the papers, I saw that the one of the consultation points or notice points was advertised as at Endeavour House, and obviously that's closed at the moment. So is that a matter that should be looked at, or is there another place that you're going to advertise instead?
The notice boards at Endeavour House can be seen from the front of the building. So when you get up to the front of the entrance, you can see all the notices at the front of the building, but they will also be at the customer access points and on our website.
Okay, thank you. Is there any more questions or comments from anyone? As I say, a lot of work's been done on this, so I'm hoping we get it right this time. Margaret?
Just to come back with what David has just said, since Endeavour House is the address of our business, in inverted commas, for Babergh District Council, then it would have to be displayed there in any case.
Okay, thank you. Catherine, have you got a question again, or have you left your mic? Catherine Grandon? No? Okay, thank you. Right, is there any more comments? Right, can I have a proposer, please?
I'm having to propose it.
And I'll second it.
Yeah, so Sean Dawson proposed it and Sue Carpenter second it. Okay, any more debate? Right, can we go to the vote on this then, Karen, please?
Thank you, Chair. Can I just check that Councillor Grandon doesn't have anything else to say? She's still got a hand. Oh, it's gone.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So can I just check the recommendation with David, please, for this one, because it's a bit more complicated.
David, do would you like to do the recommendation?
Certainly, Chair. Are you proposing option 1 or option 2, Chair? Just for my clarification. Is that's
option
not
1.
That option.
Hang on.
What? No change. You mean option 2? Just for clarification.
Hang on, yeah, option 2. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so the recommendation under 3.2 is that the committee resolve to amend the table of fares as per attached appendices A and B, that they instruct officers to proceed with the public consultation notice advertising the variations in accordance with section 65 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1976, and the varied table of fares shall become effective from the 1st of April 2021.
Okay. Thank you. And then, Karen, would you like to take the roll call?
Thank you, Chair. Members, please can you reply with for, against or abstain? Councillor Ayres?
For.
Councillor Carpendale?
For.
Councillor Dawson?
For.
Councillor Gould?
For.
Councillor Grandon?
For.
Councillor Maybury?
I'm in two minds because after, and I will say this why, after David mentioned the date that it's coming in, I have a query on it regarding end of year accounts. So I think I will have to abstain.
Thank you. Councillor
Okay,
Newman?
thank you. For.
Councillor Nunn? Councillor Nunn?
For.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. That's carried.
Okay, that's gone through. All right, I think that's the end of business. So I thank you all for attending and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.